Welcome back to my Invisalign journey. I've missed you all terribly, and I can hardly believe that it's been an entire year since the last episode that we made. So, February of 2020 is where I last left you, and that was when my father, Dr. Gerald Wesley Sr., had came to the office. He had removed a few attachments from my teeth, and he had bonded this motion appliance because I wanted to experiment with it and see how far I could correct my bite. I've been thinking of a million different ways to explain my absence, but like everything in life, I think the only way to do it is with the truth. And so on this episode, I'm going to recap where we've been. I'm going to share a few truths about Invisalign, about the motion appliance, about wearing your elastics in general. So let's start with the absence. In February, I was off to the races. I was doing an excellent job wearing the motion appliance. I wore it religiously from about February to June. As you know, COVID struck, and I think we all can agree when COVID hit, we all developed several very poor habits. And for some reason, one of my poor habits was not wearing my elastics or even my Invisalign. I know, I'm ashamed to admit that. However, I had to put other things first. You would think with all that time on my hand, I would really be able to commit to it. However, that was some of the most stressful few months of my life here. Even though I couldn't see all of my patient family, I had to kind of care for them. And so I actually spent more time than ever at the office trying to manage people, even though I wasn't really allowed to see people. So it was really tough. I didn't have my team with me. They weren't able to come into the office. So I was really here by myself, managing everyone. And for some reason, my health, my Invisalign, my elastics took back seat to the lifetime orthodontics and to all the patients that I'm responsible for. So, the bottom line is no excuses really. There's no good excuses. What happened, and it kind of brought a few things to light that I want to share with you. And for that reason, I have several truths that I'm going to be sharing. So here we go. Truth number one: a healthy, a functional smile, it's a team effort. Your orthodontist is not a magician. We can't magically make your teeth straight, beautiful. We can't just put teeth wherever we want on our own. Think of your orthodontist as a coach. He can devise the game plan. He can give you the tools to succeed. He can motivate you, but he ultimately cannot run the place for you, right? So myself as the orthodontist did the best job possible. Myself as the patient, I let myself down. So I have to own that. So my consequence now is that my treatment will be a little bit prolonged. Now that's okay, because initially I was just doing a quick 6 to 9 month treatment to align some rotations and to relieve some tension headaches. That was seamless, so I wanted to try something more. So for me, that's okay. But the reality is I'm at this a little bit longer than I intended to. And so something that you should ask yourself before beginning your smile journey: are you willing to put in the work? And that's just the reality of it. Orthodontists, they can give you a nice, beautiful smile, functioning bite. They can really do a lot for you if you're willing to put in the work. And so there's a spectrum of, what can be accomplished, and it's a team approach. So I get that question all the time. Would you do it? Yeah, I am doing it. It's hard for me to answer that question. Yes, I think we can certainly improve your smile and give you a better bite. Is that valuable to you? Are you willing to put in a year and a half, 2 years, right? So we need to own our own smile journey. Truth number two: if you don't wear your aligners, if you don't wear your rubber bands, well, one, your teeth aren't going to advance towards their ideal position, and two, they're actually going to go back to where they originally started. Okay, think about this. Your teeth have been a particular way for at least a decade of your life if you're 12. assuming most of our patients that come in here are 12, but we have many that are in their 20s, 30s, 40s, some in their 60s. I think we even have a few in their 70s. My point is, your teeth have been that way for several decades. So a year, 2 years of orthodontics versus a decade plus of tooth movement, think about that. Which one's going to win? So eventually the teeth do become stable in their new position, but not right away. So as we're moving teeth, it's very unstable movement, at least initially, okay? So think about this. I'm going to share with you my Picasso. If you haven't guessed, these are teeth, okay? And when we have teeth, we have something called periodontal ligaments, which are, these are the teeth, your gum tissues are here. There's little tiny fibers that kind of attach the teeth, okay? They attach to the bone, and then they attach to each other even, okay? So there's tiny little fibers that run here. They run all different directions, like there's transverse, oblique. I mean, there's all, they're all over the place, and they attach to each other. They attach to the bone. They attach to your gum tissue, okay? And when this tooth is moved this way, for instance, this will be stretched. Or if the tooth's rotated and we de-rotate them, the part where it attaches onto the root, say it's here, okay, and we rotate that tooth, that fiber is going to stretch, and it's going to have a tendency to want to pull that tooth back to its original position. So if you think that you can just not wear your elastics or aligners and then all of a sudden try to get back on track, it's not that simple, okay? And so, again, I know it might seem obvious, but if you don't commit to it, things will change, they will move, and you will be essentially going backwards. And that's exactly what happened to me. I didn't wear my elastics. I had a little space opening here, which was the goal of the plan, to kind of help to retract my dentition. But when I stopped wearing it, it all came back. It all came forward again because I didn't have a retainer. There's no stability there. So, and the same will happen to you. So that is a reality. Truth number 3. If you haven't worn your aligners in quite some time, it's not as easy. You can't just jam them back on your teeth, okay? Because here's the misconception. A lot of people say, hey, I went a few weeks without it, or I lost it, or I went on a trip. But when I got back, I just jammed it on and it fit. Well, maybe it fit, or maybe you just deformed the plastic. Consider that, because this is plastic. It's very flexible, okay? Flexibility is a key component in orthodontics. If we had super rigid things, we wouldn't be able to move rotated teeth around. So think about that. We have a super flexible, I don't know if you can see me bending this thing, plastic that's putting a light force on the tooth. And so, of course, you're going to be able to jam it on your teeth sometimes. That doesn't mean that that's the right thing to do. So, right? So this fits on the model. You can see that. And I picked a different model that this doesn't go on to represent jamming them on the teeth like most of you do. I know you do. Because I see when you come in and you got it like halfway hanging off like this. See this? So this doesn't fit, and we can kind of like jam it on. See, it looks like it fits, but it's not. So we're just jamming, we're deforming the plastic, right? I could bend the heck out of this thing, okay, and make it fit. So it's not working, okay? And furthermore, what you may be doing is causing an unwanted movement. So if we're jamming this on, it's not fitting the teeth correctly, you're probably putting a force somewhere we don't want a force to be placed. So don't do that. What you want to do, you want to call me or call your orthodontist, and you want to schedule a refinement, okay? A refinement we reviewed in one of the previous episodes is where you come in, they take a new scan of your teeth, they submit it into Invisalign, and you get some new trays, okay? If you had saved your prior tray and that still fits, it might be a good idea to wear that at least at night to hold your teeth steady, okay, so they don't shift any further. One more reality here. When you don't wear your aligners for a long time, and then you go to put these back on, we're initially starting the process of moving teeth over. So that first 1 to 3 days where your teeth may be sore, we have to go through that again. And hence, the truth hurts, literally. Truth number 4. Your orthodontist knows if you're wearing your rubber bands. We do. So don't hide it. Okay? You just look dumb. Okay? If you're having challenges, just let us know. We can work with you. If you're just not wearing it, we want to know that too. Or at least I do. I want to know the reality. Are we going to achieve this result or not? I don't want to waste time. I don't want to waste your time, your parents' time, or your own time if you're bringing yourself. You know, I'm on your team, right? And I just want to know the reality of it. And most orthodontists do, right? But we know if you're not wearing it. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about the challenges. Maybe you don't want to fix the bite as badly as I do, okay? But let's talk about that. And here's another reality that kind of goes with truth number 3. When you don't wear your rubber bands, the teeth will shift back. I mentioned those little periodontal fibers. I still got my Picasso here, right? So these fibers are going to stretch. It's going to want to move back initially until it's stabilized after several months. I'll talk about retention later on. But essentially, it's going to move back, and it's also going to be a little bit uncomfortable once again. So there's this period of adaptation when you first start wearing the rubber bands where it might be a little tender at first, and people say, well, it hurts, it hurts, it hurts. Well, it's because you're not wearing them enough. If you just wear them after a day, it's seamless. I promise you, it doesn't hurt. And usually it doesn't even hurt initially. It's just, you just got to get used to it. I promise you. And so here are a few ways that we, as orthodontists, know if you're wearing your rubber bands. Well, one, in the case of a motion appliance, this is an adult patient who we thought had to go through surgery, and she started to get a little gap here. This is exactly what we're looking for. If we don't see a gap forming here, then we know you're not wearing it, okay? There's going to be a gap to some degree if you're wearing this well. The second thing we look for is mobility of the teeth. And so I don't know if you look at my tooth here, I don't know if you can see that, but it's mobile. It's wiggly. So when I come in and my team, they're trained to look at that tooth and see, is it wiggly? And this isn't just for the motion. This is for if you have braces on, we can tell if you're wearing your rubber bands because that tooth should be a little bit loose because it's moving. It's a good amount of, don't be scared. It's good to be loose. But we know, okay? Finally, I shouldn't tell you this secret. If we ask you if you need more rubber bands and you don't need more rubber bands, well, you probably haven't been using them. So let's think about that. Okay. Truth number 5. I want to make sure you're sitting down for this because it's probably going to be earth-shattering for most of you. Are you ready? Adults are not kids. Right? Bet you didn't know that. Seriously though, let's take a look at this growth curve. This is a classic growth velocity curve, okay? And just to summarize it, what it's showing is that around the age of 13, 14, 15, 16, our growth starts to slow down, which means our skeleton matures. There's not a lot of growth potential left, and once the growth stops, our bone becomes denser and denser and denser, and it becomes much more challenging to move teeth. What's more is that we as adults go through life and we tend to get stressed, and so we develop habits like grinding, where we start clenching and grinding. And if you go through a million years of school and studying and exams like me, you grind the heck out of your teeth. It's just what you do. I'm sure many of you can relate. So I'm going to show you some of my photos here, just to kind of show you what's up here. These here, see these big old, let me get this picture bigger. These big old bumps, if you will. I don't know how to explain it. They're called tori. And it's a byproduct of it's a bony response to just clenching and grinding so much. On top of that, you can see all the wear on my teeth here. Flattening of these front teeth, the flattening of these back teeth. So those are all tori on my upper arch. I have one right here in the center too. I don't know if you can see it here, but there's a big excess of growth of bone right there. And then there's also some on the side. So that's a sign that we're grinding the heck out of our teeth. You can see the flattening on my cuspids, okay? So when we have this really dense bone and we're grinding a lot, that's fighting against our tooth movement. So people with really squared off jaws and strong, their muscles kind of bulge out, you can see them. Those are the most difficult people to work with because it's really hard to move the teeth because you're fighting that muscle, that bone density, but also that muscle, right? And so I share that with you because I've run into this challenge where I use this motion, hundreds of them, and it's only really not succeeded in maybe a handful of cases, and usually it's compliance. But I found that with some adults, we just cannot achieve what we want to achieve. Okay, so for instance, let's take a look at me here. This is our new CBCT machine. I'm going to explain this new technology in an upcoming episode, but let's take a look. Just to recap, I have a class 2 skeletal relationship. This means that my lower jaw is set back relative to my upper jaw. And I'm trying to combat that to see if I can improve my bite by moving these teeth back with the motion appliance. That's the whole purpose of this, right? And I'm running into some roadblocks because, I know that I'm being, well, with the exception of my lapse, I know I'm being a good patient, but this is all that I've achieved in about 3 consistent months, maybe a millimeter of space there, okay? So, like I said, this works on almost everybody. I am not having a ton of success here, and I need to just realize there's a limitation to how far I can move these teeth, because what I'm really doing is fighting a lower jaw that's set back relative to the upper jaw, okay? So you can't always compensate for those things. We can improve it, and I'm still happy with that result because that's going to allow me to shift my midline. I'll explain that more in a future episode, okay? So if we just recap where we were here, this is when I decided to restart my journey, okay? And you can see I totally lost all the spacing that I had, and it's absolutely back to zero, okay? And then this is just a few days ago after about 3 months of consistent wear. You can see it's a little bit better. I don't know if you can see good. I'm gonna pull this closer. Right, you can see this gap here forming. So, anyways, all that to tell you, adults are not kids, right? And we sometimes need to face the reality of what we can and cannot achieve. And that was an eye-opener for me, because I felt like I really am giving this my all, and I'm going to continue. I committed to another month of elastic wear, and I'm going to see how far I can take this, and we're going to carry on this journey together, okay? So there are a few truths that I wanted to share with you. I feel so much better getting that off my chest. People will call me many things, but one of them will be genuine, one of them will be truthful, and that's something that I take a lot of pride in here at Lifetime Orthodontics. I'm always going to give it to you as it is, and if you have any questions or concerns or something that doesn't seem right to you, just give me a call or leave a comment in this video. Again, the truth will set us all free, and there's no way around that. So I hope you all learned something from this at the expense of me being a bad patient, but I am motivated to continue. I'm actually excited to continue. Like I said, now my motivation, I want to see how far I can correct it. I know I'm limited due to my skeletal maturity and my age and the way my bones are, okay? But I want to see how far I can take it, so I'm going to commit to at least one more month. I have about 5 more aligners left. So in the next episode, I'm going to review the motion appliance because I never really got around to explaining to you what the motion appliance is, how it works, and so forth. I'm going to show you my updated ClinCheck. Okay, in future episodes, I want to share some very cool technology with you. This is our new CBCT machine, which we acquired back in March, right about the same time we had to shut things down. The diagnostic on this are incredible. The things I can see that I didn't see before, I don't know how I was treating patients without this. So I'm excited to share this with you. I'm going to share a few tips on cleaning your aligners and stuff like that in the future. So I got a lot of good ideas for episodes coming up that hopefully help you to be successful in your smile journey. And as always, feel free to reach out in the comments below. I want to apologize again for my absence. I had to put my patients first had to put myself first, so I didn't really have the means to really film and continue on, but I am very much motivated and excited to share the rest of my journey with you. Thanks for joining me.